NFL playoffs wild card week. Predicting the Chargers and the Texans. The Chargers have to win by 10 points, by at least 10 points, to keep the Texans at 10 wins before facing off against Kansas City. We're going to look to three-peat by winning 10 consecutive playoff games. The Chargers get the win on the road. The Chargers are going to improve to 7-3, and they'll probably drop to 7-4 when they lose against Mahomes the following week. And now the Chargers have played a total of 31 playoff games in their history, and they are traveling to Houston. Now Houston's 32 in reverse, and I like the Chargers to enter the Kansas City game with 32 prior playoff games. And their 33rd playoff game would occur against Patrick. And now, the site of the Super Bowl is New Orleans, and New Orleans is Gematria of 126. Basically, the Chargers will improve to 12-6. 12 wins this year in the first year with Jim Harbaugh. "12-6 is Gematria of the site of the Super Bowl, New Orleans. I'm not sure what 7-3 away, the significance of that quite yet. But as far as Super Bowl 59 goes, the Houston Texans are going to win 5 out of 9 games at home. For Justin Herbert, it is his first playoff win of his career, his third playoff game against Kansas City, looking to three-peat. He is number 10, and Kansas City's going to go for 10 straight playoff wins. Their first opponent is number 10, Justin Herbert. I notice how Houston, Texas is Gematria 62, and 62 is Gematria of the LA Chargers. Usually the first playoff game is a blowout. Notice how the Texans are 12-5 entering this playoff game, or I should say the LA Chargers. Okay, and 11-6 to 12-6, not 12-5 to 12-6. I don't know why I was thinking that. And so the Chargers would enter the Kansas City game with 19 playoff losses in their history. Pat is Gematria of, or I thought Pat's Gematria of 19. Pat is Gematria of 10. I don't know if I'm thinking of Andy Reid or not. Andy in reverse is the 19 playoff losses. Texans is Gematria 20. Will the Chargers lose their 20th playoff game against the Texans? I just happen to think it's going to happen in the following game after facing the Texans. They lose their 20th game. They don't lose their 20th playoff game right on the Texans. It's their very first game right after facing off against Houston. That's how I look at that interpretation. The Texans are going to fall to 5-8 in the playoffs. 58 is 58 prior Super Bowls, and the Chargers is Gematria 58. So they will fall to 5-8 in the playoffs, losing against the LA Chargers. Herbert is 6'6", his first playoff win against the Houston Texans. The Houston Texans is 66. Basically, Jim Harbaugh is going to go for 6-4 with a loss likely to the Kansas City Chiefs. He'll be going for 6-4. He's going to be 6-3. He'll be going for 6-4. Jim Harbaugh in reverse is also Gematria 64. So that's the look ahead to next week sequence. But he will lose against Kansas City, and this is going to force the Chargers to kind of build their team around defeating Kansas City. Let's go to the Chargers record in the wild card round of the playoffs. In the wild card round, they are 6-3. Their 10th wild card game in franchise history. Number 10's first playoff win of his career. C.J. Stroud is going to fall to 1-2, losing against Coach Jim Harbaugh. And now let's go to the Houston Texans in their playoff history. So the 5-8, and their record, their record in the playoffs is what we're looking at. In the wild card round, they are 5-2. In the wild card round, they could be going for 6-2 against LA Chargers. LA Chargers is 62, but they're going to fall to 5-3. 5-3 could be a big comeback for Jim Harbaugh and the Chargers. 53, they can fall to 5-3, losing against Jim Harbaugh. I like Jim Harbaugh's 53 gematria as it connects to the Texans. Losing for the third time in the wild card round. We see a lot of 3 with Kansas City, going for 3 straight Super Bowls. But you'll see some double codes. But let's look at Jim Harbaugh's record as a head coach in the wild card round of the playoffs. Bottom line, Jim Harbaugh, his only Super Bowl loss was at New Orleans. He'll have a chance to make it to the conference title week. So Jim Harbaugh, his last appearance at New Orleans, he's going to be in the divisional round with this year's Super Bowl at New Orleans. Something to think about. Jim Harbaugh's 1-0 in the wild card round, and I like. Let's see, I do like Jim Harbaugh to improve to 2-0 in the wild card round as head coach. That's how we look at Texans gematria. Jim Harbaugh is going to be 2-0 in the wild card round as a head coach. CJ is gematria of LA up against LA in the playoffs. It may be conference records if there's any significance with the conference records. So Houston Texans will fall to 8-5 in the conference. Kind of reverse of 58. Houston Texans fall to 8-5 in the conference, losing against the former coach of the Michigan Wolverines. I think at 85 is gematria of Alabama Crimson Tide. He didn't beat Alabama in the title game. He beat Washington, but yeah, that was the first of 2 wins last year for Michigan in the college football playoff. Just look at conference record for the Chargers. They'll be 9-4 in the conference. I think it's Justin Patrick Herbert. That's gematria of 94. So Chargers will improve to 9-4 in the conference before a trip awaits them to Arrowhead. Or actually, it's not 94. Sorry. But I do like the 94 as it relates to Justin Patrick Herbert. We can also look at the Texans and the Chargers all time head to head. I don't know what 73 is about, but it'd be interesting to look at, obviously. D'Amico Ryans in reverse is gematria of the Texans falling to 5-8 in the postseason.